Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Sam Talk, episode 2 in my car. I'm not sure how this is going to go, but I had the idea, so fuck it. Let's just try it out. I'm currently rereading Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way again, and on my first pass, I was reading it and I wasn't taking any notes. I was just passively consuming it. And so on the second time around, I'm highlighting and making notes about quotes or certain lines that resonate with me or something that I have personal experience with. And so I wanted to start with the very first part of this book, which is perception. And specifically, the first chapter is called The Discipline of Perception, and pick out a quote that stuck with me and relay my personal experiences in the hopes that if it relates to somebody else, if it relates to you, that it can give you, if anything, a different perspective that isn't your own. And if what comes out of this is a dialogue where you guys are posting your own stories and your own experiences in the comments, awesome. But if not, it's still something that I wanted to try out and see how it works, instead of overthinking it and just trying to create like a perfect version of it. Fuck it. I'm trying to get better at my own indecisiveness, and if I want to do something, just doing it. So here we go. So part 1 of this book is called Perception. And if you don't know what perception means, it says here, it's how we see and understand what occurs around us and what we decide those events will mean. Our perceptions can be a source of strength or of great weakness. If we are emotional, subjective, and short sighted, we only add to our troubles. And the the quote, or the little paragraph that stuck with me in this chapter, goes, "You will come across obstacles in life, fair and unfair, and you will discover time and time again that what matters most is not what these obstacles are, but how we see them, how we react to them, and whether we keep our composure. You will learn that this reaction determines how successful we will be in overcoming or possibly thriving because of them." And I wrote at the end of that paragraph, "The story we tell ourselves." And this is something that I've struggled with in the past, and I still wrestle with today, even now. What events mean to me, what they are objectively, and what an event or story is objectively, and what opinion or emotion am I attaching it so that it provides meaning to me, whether I think it's good or bad. And a recent example I can provide is the stream from last Saturday where I was playing Dave the Diver. I noticed that it was more quiet, that was relatively a pretty chill and quiet stream, and that's okay because I normally stream on the weekends, and man, there's a lot of things that you could be doing on the weekend except watching some Korean guy on Twitch failing to capture fish and dying and losing all of my hard-earned loot. So the point I'm trying to make is, even though I noticed that there wasn't a lot of chat activity going on and that there weren't a lot of people, my perception of that stream was, or is, that was awesome. That was a great stream. And how I qualify or how I determine if I have a great stream or a bad stream is solely based on my perception. Sure, there are numbers that I can look at, but that doesn't always determine how good I feel or like how bad I feel about a stream, how fulfilled I was when I ended stream. what were the first thoughts that I was having? Like, oh man, that was a funny moment. Or in the case of the last stream, when Sluggobert typed or put in chat that Samwise Gamgee emote of him saying potatoes, boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew, and now we had like a little sidetrack, not even related to the game, where I'm just spamming the sound effect and just having a moment, laughing with the community and just feeling just joy and happiness and sharing laughter with others. I remember for sure there were times early on in my streaming career where I would end stream and my first thought would be, that stream fucking sucked. That was terrible. I don't feel good about that. And the reasons for that, right? The story I was telling myself, the perception that I had of those streams were a number of things. At a certain point, I dove too far into numbers. And because I didn't get a certain number of followers or a certain number of viewers or a certain number of subscribers, I told myself that that stream wasn't good. I had failed to grow during that stream. And in the case where I lost followers, oh, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? What did I say? What I should I have focused more on the game instead of talking in the chat? Like yada, like all of these thoughts going through my head, and it was not good for my mental health, because instead of focusing on trying to put on a good stream, trying to make your community laugh, trying to make them feel welcomed, instead of focusing on things within my control, I was giving up a lot of that control to things that I have no power over. I can't control how many people show up. I can sure play like I can play a part of that by how I come across on stream, how I compose myself, sure, but it's still up to the people to not only click on my stream, but to choose to stay. And I certainly don't have control over like who follows the stream. I can say, hey, if you're enjoying the stream, first time here, feel free to hit that follow button. I can make a suggestion, but I can't demand, or nor would I ever want to demand people to follow, to watch, or to subscribe. And it's interesting how now in 2026, about 8 years from when I first started streaming, that my lens of perception has changed, where what would have qualified or what I would have said was a bad stream before, I don't see it that way now. My sole focus, certainly as I stream as a hobby now, I'm not trying to pursue it as a career, is only focusing on things that I can control. Like, I control whether I have a good time or not based on my own actions. Trying to make people laugh, trying to make them feel welcome, trying to create a safe space where people, if they want to, certainly if we're engaging in that kind of discussion, can feel free and safe to relay their own experiences without any fear of like, oh, like, is he going to use this against me? Or like, am I going to be treated differently because I chose to be vulnerable? I emphasize and put effort in trying into creating that safe environment, because I know that for some, they don't have that in their real life, and how important that can be to feel okay to talk about things that are more sensitive, a little, not something that you would be mentioning like at the water cooler at work, something that you would keep close to the chest, and if anything, talk to with family, like a brother or a sister or a significant other, like someone that's really close to you, like a best friend. And not stream related, but still something that I struggle with less today, but it still happens for sure. Because I mean, I'm human, so I'm not perfect. I had a pretty bad. I struggled pretty badly with road rage at a certain point in me driving, where I was driving very aggressively, like an asshole, and I was that person that was right up on your tail for no other reason except, hey, the world revolves around me. You're in my fucking way. Fuck off. And the worst it got to was me flipping off somebody and them following me. And once I realized that they were following me, trying to divert away from where I actually lived so that this person would potentially like fucking knock on my window and be like, hey, remember me, motherfucker? Or some shit like that. And I went into another neighborhood and pretended like I was opening the gate, and thankfully he reversed and he left. And my perception of others on the road before was, oh, everyone that drives faster than me is insane. Everyone that drives slower than me is a fucking idiot and should be off the road. And that's such an egotistical, selfish, just short-sighted way to think, because it doesn't put any consideration into what everyone else around the road may be going through. There was a graduation speech by, I forget, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but like I remember my friend from high school and then also hung out with a little bit during college sent to me. The name of the graduation speech is "This is Water." I'll link this in the YouTube description. And he mentions in that speech how we always have a choice in how we view things, and it connects to perception, like how we choose what story we tell ourselves about the things that happen in our lives. And before, when I was driving like an absolute prick and thinking the whole world revolved around me and nobody else mattered, only my wants mattered, I never took into consideration, oh, well, maybe this person is driving aggressively because they just had a huge falling out with their family, their significant other, and they're just having a really bad day. Hey, maybe this person cut me off because they're actually having an emergency and need to get to the hospital right away. Now, sure, that's not an excuse to put everyone else around on the road with you in danger because you're choosing to drive recklessly. I'm not excusing that. But I think it's important to think, instead of absolutes, like this person's dumb, this person's insane, try to think, maybe, well, maybe this is the situation, maybe this is the reason. And I try to remind myself that when I'm on the road and I'm dealing with somebody that's driving recklessly like I have done in the past, to not excuse it, but just try to understand that, hey, maybe there's something going on in their lives that I can't relate to, and if I were in a similar situation, I might also react the same. It allows me to have a little bit more patience with people, a little bit more, give people a little bit more grace. And there's I forgot which philosopher said it, but whenever there's like an obstacle that comes in my way, or I'm dealing with somebody at work that is just so snobby and is not talking to me respectfully, to not give in and to play at the same level that they're playing. If someone acts like rude and obnoxious, choosing not to also respond with that same level of rudeness and just anger, because then that doesn't make me any better than they are. Even if they'd started it, I always have a choice in how I respond. We don't control a lot of the things that happen to us and around us, but we always have a choice in how we respond. And it's not to say it's easy, but it's simple. And it's an ongoing practice for me that I try to tell myself anytime I'm about to like flip out on someone, or I want to have like a knee-jerk reaction. Like, are you going to regret saying what you're about to say after this conversation's over and it's heated a little bit? Do you want to instead take a moment to pause and reflect, to not speak out of anger, to not let your emotions be in the driver's seat and you in the what was it, the passenger seat? Of course, I want to be the one that's in control, that's in the driver's seat. Some people see Stoicism as having no emotion, and it's not that someone who practices Stoicism or believes in Stoicism believes in not having any emotion. Stoicism is about having the emotion and not being driven by it. And I know we were talking about perception, so this may be a little bit of a tangent. But we always have the choice to not only how we respond, but the story we tell ourselves. What's the lens of perception that I'm viewing this event right now? And yeah, what the stream that I had with Dave the Diver, and comparing how I would have viewed that stream before, it's different, and I'm glad and I'm happy that I'm no longer leaving success in in ways that I can't control, and instead just trying to focus on, well, what do I have control over? I have control over myself. I have control over how I act, what I say, when people speak to me, what those words mean to me, what's the story that I tell myself. And here's another section in here. Desperation, despair, fear, powerlessness. These reactions are functions of our perceptions. You must realize nothing makes us feel this way. We choose to give in to such feelings. When I'm going to work and there's a shitload of traffic, which there normally is, before I would say, oh, traffic is bad, traffic sucks. And the difference that I'm trying to make now is seeing that traffic in itself is neither good nor bad. It just is, and viewing it objectively like that, and trying to separate and trying to detach my own opinions and judgments from him, and realize that there's another part to that. There's traffic, there's the objective thing, it is what it is, it's not either good or bad. There's my judgment about it, I don't like traffic, and then there's the final, traffic sucks. And that response is based on my judgment of, or my opinion about whatever it is, and that the event in itself or the thing is neither good nor bad. And that's helps certainly calm some of that road rage. Like, yeah, Sure, I would love to not be in traffic. I'm sure all of us would prefer not to be in traffic, but it's here. It is. So, are you going to make it worse by like being angry and be like, "Oh my god, like why don't these people like fucking go?" Like that's not going to make things go faster. And you've seen those people where they're just weaving in and out in traffic and you get to the destination at the same time. So what good did that do to that person? Or what good did that do to me when I was just swerving left and right and just trying to shave off like seconds? It didn't do anything except put me in an angry and emotional state, which I don't like being in. Being reckless on the road, which is selfish, and it's also dangerous to everybody else that's on the road that's not driving like a maniac like me. And for what? If I did save time, 30 seconds, was that really worth it? No, it's not. And by by choosing to give up my control and letting my emotions, my passions take take the wheel, then I'm I lose control. And more often than not, when I'm acting out of anger, when I'm not taking a moment to pause and reflect, more often than not, once things calm down, I'm having the conversations or thoughts in my head. Fuck. I shouldn't have said that. Like, why did you blow up like that? They don't deserve that. You had a bad day and you took it out on them. What the hell is wrong? Like, what's the matter with you? They didn't do that to you. Why are you doing that to them? And the last, another small little quote. So it's a quote from Seneca. The greatest empire, Seneca, an advisor to emperors and a wealthy man himself, would say, is command of yourself. The greatest empire is command of yourself, meaning that the best thing that you can do, the most valuable thing, is command of yourself and your emotions, and not letting outside influences or strong emotions such as anger being the ones that take control and not you. It's important to remind ourselves that how we perceive the world, how we perceive events that happen to us, can have a pretty important role, sometimes life-changing role, in how you move forward, or if you don't. I guess the last example, it's been 23. Okay, so it'll be, I don't know if it'll, okay, so it's like almost 30 minutes. Last example that comes to, or one that comes to my mind, I don't know if it's like the last one, but one that does come to my mind is when I flunked out of college. And my perception of that event was dire as fuck. When I found out that I would not be able to come back to school after my freshman year, and that I would not be able to apply to any University of California for 5 years, that feeling in my stomach, oh man, it was a combination of fear, despair, every negative emotion, wanting to run away, wanting to cry, mad at myself because I knew that I had to tell my parents that. And you know what I chose to do instead? I chose to not say anything. And then one day my dad's checking the mail and he opens up the letter from the university telling them that I got suspended and I'm not accepted back, and looked at me and said, "What is this?" Even though I was a little further away, I already knew exactly what he was holding. Oh fuck. That's the letter from college saying what I should have said to my parents before that letter arrived. And my perception of that event and my dad holding the letter was, I'm fucked. I am royally screwed. I am going to get kicked out of the house. My parents are going to disown me. I wasted thousands of dollars and I have nothing to show for it except a bong that I brought back from college. And what ended up happening was almost the complete opposite eventually. Instead of being furious and instead of my parents yelling at me and screaming at the top of their lungs or maybe asking to hold out my hands so that they could like beat me like with like a broom or like something, they were disappointed. And for those of you guys that have felt this, having your parents disappointed in you or having someone that you care about disappointed in you feels way worse than them being mad at you, because the disappointment shows that they thought you were going to do better than what ended up happening out. They had higher expectations of you. They thought more highly of you than to let them down like this. Anger it's almost easy. It's almost one note, like something happens, I'm mad at you. Disappointment sits for longer. It's like when you get hit in the balls, like that initial pain, yeah, sure, it sucks, but that pain that settles in after as time goes on, oh, that's so much worse. So yes, I'm equating disappointment that I felt from my parents with getting hit in the balls. I don't have a script. I'm speaking free flow, baby. Okay, all right. So my ladies out there, I'm sorry, okay? I know you can't relate to that, so it's not the ball thing. I mean, if you've ever felt disappointed in someone or been on the receiving end, I hope you understand where I'm what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I had a long talk with them later on, and I ended up going to community college and then transferring to a Cal State and graduating from there. And in retrospect, what ended up being what I thought was the worst thing that could happen to me, my perception of that, thinking this is the end of the world and I am screwed. How can anything good come out of this? Actually ended up being one of the better things to happen in my life for multiple reasons, and for reasons that I wasn't able to see. Until after the fact, after some time had passed. By me flunking out of college, I reconnected with some high school friends, and we went to the same community college. So that wouldn't have been possible if I stayed at that university. I rediscovered acting. I started, my first introduction to acting was in middle school and doing a play, but that was just like a one-off thing. So I was introduced to acting through my community college. I was introduced to peers, friends, and teachers through my experiences studying theater and acting, both in community college and then when I transferred out. Some of those people who I still communicate with today. So those relationships and those friendships wouldn't have been possible if I didn't flunk out. And also, I strongly believe that if it wasn't for me flunking out of college and spending time at one of my high school friends' house, that I wouldn't have discovered streaming. I wouldn't have discovered Twitch. And I probably wouldn't even be here right now filming this video, talking to you guys, my community, because when I came back from flunking out, going to community college, I would stop by and I would hang out at my high school friend's house, and his younger brother, who some of you know, Alex Dreamwreck, was streaming in his room. And I walked in and asked him, "What are you doing? Like, who are you talking to?" Like, "Oh, I'm playing this game and I'm talking to these people from this person from New York, or this person that lives in Europe." And that whole concept of streaming, this was maybe in 2013, 2014, was foreign to me. I had no idea people did that. And that sparked the curiosity that led to me eventually creating my own channel, or creating my own account, finding certain channels that I vibed with, realizing that, oh, not everyone wants to watch streams that have 10,000 plus people in there. Some people want to find smaller channels so that they can engage in more direct, meaningful conversations with the broadcaster and have more of that tight-knit feeling. And it was through those channels that made me want to try that myself. Oh, hey, well, if they could do it, why not me? And if I don't want to do something this way, then how can I do it in a way that is truthful and is honest to me? And I took my love of comedy and making people laugh, and in a sense, me pursuing stand-up comedy on a virtual stage, and blending that and fusing that with my love of games, and wanting to see if I can create some sort of a hybrid where I play games, I'm voicing my commentary, and I'm also saying like jokes, or not necessarily always like, like a setup punchline kind of thing, but just talking about my own experiences or whatever is happening in the game that I'm playing, and trying to provide a commentary to it where somebody may laugh or may get a kick out of it from what I say or how I act, or like the stupid facial expressions I make and shit like that. So yeah, this video is already over 30 minutes. I really didn't think it was gonna go that long, so I'll start wrapping up here because I wanted to have the core be on perception, and the chapter called the discipline of perception, and how important it is to perceive the events and the people in our lives through a lens that is helpful for us, that is beneficial for us, to move us forward, to allow us to grow, instead of backpedaling and doing things that we may regret later on because our perception of events was skewed, or it was viewed in a way that didn't help us, and if anything made us feel more egotistical and not being considerate about everyone else around us, who are also all going through their own problems, and knowing that, hey, the world doesn't revolve around you, and that maybe, just maybe, this person is having a really bad day. They had a death in the family. They got a cancer diagnosis. I know I'm giving extreme examples, and more often than, or probably not, it's none of those, but you never know. And so I'd rather think maybe than thinking in absolutes, as if I do know exactly what's going on, which I don't. And it helps me practice the virtue of patience, and give people a level of slack, or a level of leeway that I would like to have in return if I was going through something really bad. I hope they realized, or I hope maybe they know that I'm really not having a good day, and that I just want to be left alone, or any number of those things. So yeah, this is Sam Talk number 2 in my car, talking about perception and the story we tell ourselves. If you want to chime into the comments, feel free. If not, if any of this, as you've listened to it, has resonated with you and certainly given you a different perspective, then awesome. I'm happy to have given that to you. Thank you for giving me your time. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.